Do you yearn for a storied tale to be shared with your brethren around the mead table? Does your love of 40k also intersect with Norse mythology? Uh, do you want to have the coolest looking ice weapons almost in the whole game? Definitely the coolest ice weapons, some of the coolest looking weapons in the game. Welcome to the Space Wolves, everybody. They are one of my favorites out there. I think along with Night Lords, some of the most unique models for the Space Marine lines, both in 40k and 30k. And it's really nice. They invite a lot of kit bashing between the two, just because the bits are so unique. Like runes, covered in runes. The ice weapons are so iconic. The Space Wolves are a very cool legion. One of my best friends, Richard McKee, he's kind of like our hobby guru. He introduced us all into 40k and D&D when we were young, and he remains like when I need to paint something, he's the guy I get on the line, and he will tell me the exact recipe, and he's always right. It's crazy. Half my models look as good as they do because of his advice. And he's a Space Wolf player, the biggest Space Wolf player I know. So, shout out to you on this one, Richard. Let's start breaking it down. First of all, what's on your hobby table? Always give a little comment if you want, or take some pictures. Right now I am working on my knights are almost complete. All the knights that I have are built, painted, and based as of last night, so they're good to go. I've got the salamanders to work on and the Alpha Legion to finish up this holiday season and into the cold Ohio winter. I finished up my Mordheim Warband. I'm missing the first game, unfortunately, but I'm excited to jump into that campaign. And I think on Monday, I'm going to have the first Mordheim Monday, where I just kind of break down like what the game is like, the rules, the setting, and things like that. It's pretty fun. Just another obscure esoteric game to throw on the channel for everybody. As always, I appreciate the watch. Give it a like and subscribe if you happen to want to. If not your jam, just thanks for watching this video. So let's get into the Space Wolves. In the lore section, the Space Wolves are, it's almost like depending on who you talk to, you're going to get a very different story. But Lemon Russ they're not savage and, they're not barbarians and whatsoever. They have a very, very structured, very unique structure, but very structured society, and how they raise their first inducti up to the into the Thanes and into like their different levels of all based of course on like Norse mythology and some of like the Viking history and things like that. Really fun. They if you ask someone else, they'll be known as the Executioners. It is storied and hinted at that they might have been compliant in the destruction of the two missing legions. And of course, they were called on to censure the Thousand Sons in one of the most iconic battles, the Burning of Prospero, where Horus tricked Russ into thinking that he had to completely destroy and dismantle Magnus, and the Magnus had fallen to chaos. He hoodwinked him and blew up out of proportion just the censure that he was supposed to show. He was supposed to kind of show up, slap on the wrist, be like, hey, stop using sorcery after the Council of Nicaea, which of course, like Russ, like very much opposed Psykers, which is weird. It's like they've got their rune casters, which I guess don't use the warp, kind of in the same way that Stormseers don't really touch upon the warp in the way that other Psykers do, so I guess they have less risk. But it's kind of like, okay, no one can use Psykers, but these guys are rune casters, it's like I said, it depends on who you ask, which legion you talk to. But the Space Wolves, have some really good books in there. Of course, the Burning of Prospero. The Thousand Sons side of things is in the Thousand Sons book, and then if you read the Burning of Prospero, it's from the all the side of the Wolves. And I have not read it, and I need to, but that would definitely be. I've read the first 100 pages of it, but that would be a great book to jump into for the Space Wolves. And both those books together are just a really nice. You kind of get to see the Space Wolves attacking, and then the Space Wolves point of view as they're coming in for the attack. But that is one of the most important points in the heresy lore-wise, the Prospero, and before the Council of Nicaea at the end of the Great Crusade, where there was the whole discussion of psychers. The first domino that led to Prospero. But yeah, that's the Space Wolves also showed up in Scars a little bit, as they were kind of taciturn, and the Scars ended up not coming in to save them because they were unsure at that point. The White Scars are always kind of aloof. Kind of both of them are aloof from their brothers, Legion-wise. Very insular, keep to themselves, I think. Have their rigid strictures that are built within their Legion. Almost Russ and Khan, kind of two different sides to the same coin a little bit. And I think that in Scars, that's kind of brought up of the two quote-unquote wild legions coming across each other, and they break and they do not work with each other and things like that. It's they're too different at the end of the day. Let's get into the kit. The Space Wolves have a really fun, really cool kit. Some people say that their Legion rule is a little underwhelming, but I think it's I think after playing a few games and seeing how charges work and the assault phase now, I think that they have an extra 2-inch setup move. That's going to be up to a limit of 6, so it can go as high as 6. But even your jump pack Marines are going to get that little boost of an inch, and that kind of close in on someone before they can get volley fire, before they can overwatch, especially with those scary guns. I think the extra, I found that playing Alpha Legion, when you subtract 2 inches, it's a huge difference in the charge phase. So I can only imagine that in the opposite direction, it's going to be just as effective. And your normal Marines with move 7, initiative 4 will be charged, setup move at 5 inches. That's pushing your total charge up to 11 inches, which is crazy. That's a long bomb these days. But yeah, the armory of them, the first thing they get is the Fenrisian Axe, which can replace chain swords for just 2 points on any model, which is cool. So you could even load up your spoilers with them. It's pretty much just an +1 strength with Reaping Blow. That's going to be honestly the big rule. If you're not aware, Reaping Blow is that when you are outnumbered, including and this includes bulky, so if you're bulky 3, you count as 3 models. It's the only time that happens. But if you are outnumbered, you get a bonus attack equal to your Reaping Blow. I'm not going to go down all the Frost weapons because they are pretty much every Frost weapon is similar to its counterpart in the power side. Power sword is a Frost sword is a power sword with 1 pip better breaching, so breaching 5, and Reaping Blow. The axe is just like a power axe, +1 strength, 3 AP with breaching 4 up instead of 5 up, and Reaping Blow. So each of these guys is going to have another better breaching with a pip of Reaping Blow. The Great Frostblade is just a Thunder Hammer with Reaping Blow. It's fantastic, just a boost, you know what I mean, on an AP 2 damage weapon. Finally, their Prime slot is pretty cool. It goes only on an Opte, which is very rarely taken. Just a dirt cheap hero that's going to unlock you a detachment, and also is fully customizable, which is pretty cool. I think that they are stuck with, they might be stuck on Sergeant weapons, but I could be wrong. It might be Champion weapons. The upgrade that you get changes your Opte to a Thane, so he gets better +1 attack and weapon skill, which is comparable to the Paragon of Battle, but also gives him his power sword changes to a Frost sword or a Frost axe for free, and he can upgrade to a Power Claw for just 5, Frost Claw for just 5 points. So it's just already a cheap hero, is suddenly punching like a Praetor, weapon skill 6 with I think 4 attacks. It might only get up to 3 attacks, just a scary little hero. So I threw a jump pack on him. I named him as Skeleton Stoll. That's my Thane that I've got. Sorry, I jumped into my hero a little early, but that's definitely the one I took. I couldn't see the point of it, and I was like, well, wait a second. This guy's less than 90 points, and he's got, access to powerful weapons and weapon skill 6. Whew, cool. I like him. So the Legion Tactica we talked about, +2 move to your setup, +2 inches to your setup move, fantastic. They are blessed with 2 gambits, both of which are really cool. One of them is kind of like it's no prey escapes. It's kind of like clamping your teeth down. Once you get into the challenge, you do this gambit. Neither of you can leave the challenge till one of you is dead. It's very, very lore. Just it's like here's this challenger, and it's just like nobody's leaving. The other one is if you win the challenge with your character, then the rest of your unit gains +1 attack. +1 attack, yeah, in the following fight phase. So it's like your storied hero inspires the men. But it's cool. It's kind of rare that your challenge affects the rest of the fight. That's only happened, I think, I've seen in World Eaters so far. So pretty awesome, pretty solid stuff. Especially in it, I took as many Master Sergeants as I could in my list so I could get champions in there. Took as many heroes as I could fit, 4 1 high command, 3 command, and stuff like that, because I want to be trying to proc that. I want to be winning challenges and giving boosts to my unit. That's awesome. The additional detachment they get is good. It's 2 troop slots, one of which is prime. They have to be Grey Slayers, which are the unique troop they get, but Grey Slayers are awesome, so that's not even like an issue really. And then you get 2 Shock Assault slots. So it's pretty much just a better Shock Assault detachment. Gives you, a prime Grey Slayer slot, as well as 2 slots for Terminators or the Death Swarm Wolf Pack in there as well, which are our Shock Assault. Finally, the advanced reaction is really cool, really cool, and it takes your Tactica into account, where you get shot at and you immediately get a 5-up Feel No Pain against it, and then you get a setup move into the towards the shooting unit. And if you touch base with them, you count as having charged, and you ignore all status effects at the end of that phase. I think that alone, just ignoring the status effects, could be extremely powerful, but also being able to smash someone into the charge, getting all your bonuses, if you have any. Those are rare to get impacts, but if you can find some. And very cool, counting as charged in your opponent's turn, just good. And 5-up Feel No Pain, good. I think that's a winner across the board, and can help close some distance for your melee units, even if they can't get in there. Moving into the units, really cool units. First of all, they have a unique hero, Caster of Runes, like I was talking about, their special psyker. And here's the thing where it's like, this dude's just a psyker. He can take biomancy, he can take divination, he can take telekinesis, like, totally not a psyker. But he also gets rune casting, which is really cool and unique to him. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to shoot too many holes into take too many shots, I should say, at the Space Wolves. I just think it's funny. I think it's like an ultimate irony. You know what I mean? But the Caster Runes is great. He's got 10 willpower built in, 4 attacks. He comes with a Force Staff and a Frost Axe, so you kind of get to choose what kind of target he's going into. And then rune casting, you get a template weapon that has stun built into it. It's strength 6 with force D, so you can force charge it up for extra damage. AP 4, but most of the time, I think all psychic attacks are hitting at about AP 4. You're going to be shooting for armor saves on most things that you go into in this game. But that's the way she goes. But the Caster Runes is really cool. Also has a special ability where when someone shoots them, he can change them into snapshots with a willpower check. Protection from shooting on both reactions, the psychic and the regular one. It's a good kit. I like it for a melee unit. First of all, we got the Vargir Wolfguard Terminators that come in as an elite slot, not a Shock Assault, but an elite, which makes sense. However, they are still kitted out like crazy. Weapon skill 5, 3 attacks. They come with just Combi Bolters and Frost Axes. You can't change that, but a Frost Axe is just like a Power Axe with Breaching 4-up and Reaping Blow. So it's still pretty good, Combi Bolter is pretty good. Their Thane, the guy, they actually get an upgraded champion, which is rare, and he has 4 attacks. He's striking like a Justarin, which is nuts. Pretty much a character. And they also cause fear, and have Vanguard 4, which is very good. That's something I always look at, Vanguard or Line. And in the Glory Step, they get just a bonus. They just get up to +4 resolution points just for being there. for each guy gets a point, and then yeah, just for like being in the fight and surviving, they get extra combat resolution. That's very powerful. Their melee stuff is very cool in this. Next up are the Deathsworn Pack. These guys are a shock assault, so they're going to fit into that detachment that we started with. They are 3 attacks. Their only weapon skill 4. They're built in with power axes and bolt pistols. And they have bitter duties. They can't be joined by heroes. Kind of an interesting. These guys are kind of like running out there to die. They got the cool wolf skull mask on. They've got definitely a shout out. They have something called Ymira class stasis bombs, which is just an awesome combination of words. You know what I mean? Right up there with power armor. But the Ymira class stasis bomb, pretty much it forces people charging to use their lowest result on the roll. So, you know, once again, we got shooting protection. Now you got charge protection on this unit. Just a really good melee kit. And they also have the Dreams of the Death Wolf, great special rule name, where they get an attack on death. So in a combat, you know, you go through all the initiative steps, and then at initiative step 1, anyone that died gets a free attack with their power axe. Pretty cool. They don't have Lion, don't have Vanguard, but still, I think they've got like just a scary distraction. You just whip at somebody, you know what I mean? And like these things, even if they get wiped, they're still going to do some damage on the return. Finally, we've got the Grey Slayers. Grey Slayers are led by a Huskarl, who has better leadership. These guys are your wolfy tactical marines / more despoilers. They have line 2, which is great. They are built in with a bolt pistol and a Fenrisian axe and a combat shield, which is really cool. So they're getting that 5-up in close combat, 5-up invuln. You can give them a whole bucket of upgrades and changes. Like 1 in every 5 can take a heavy thing, like a heavy weapon, like a Thunderhammer or Power Fist. Any of them can change their Fenrisian axe for a power weapon for only 5 points, which I think is a crazy good buy. I think that's the cheapest power weapons you can get, because technically a Fenrisian axe is 2 points off a chainsword, and this would be 5 more points for a total of 7 points that you're spending on your weapon. All power weapons are 10 points, no matter what, across the board. So just, you know, Math Hammer, I saw that and I was like, that is very interesting. So I fit like, you know, like 4 or 5, when I was building them, I threw 4 or 5 power weapons into each squad, just because they're, you know, it's like 20 points for 4 guys to have them. It's better than despoilers. And they got line 2 built in. The Huskarl can take a ton of stuff. I think I gave both of mine, I put them in the prime slots. So I could give them Master Sergeant, so they can take they can champion, which is pretty cool. And they can go into challenges. But that's the kit. You know, everything else about the spoilers, they can take a Vexil, they can take Nuncio Vox. They're just like the spoiler unit on the Grey Slayers. But just, you know, like more options. Really cool. So let's get into the list itself. This is the Rime of Russ. I did not actually take Russ, but I started it off with a Praetorian Saturnine armor. Just, you know, I wanted to go with one of the most powerful melee units in the game, and I think that probably takes the cake right now. Praetorian power Terminator armor. Next up, I went with the Caster of Runes, because they're super cool. I took a Herald because these are the stories, you know what I mean? That's the whole point of the Herald. I imagine has like stories on the you know, on their standard of all of the, you know, vanquished beasts they've killed, like written, you know, like a tapestry that keeps going and going and going. And he wants to be fighting in challenges like crazy. And then I took my Opte. I gave him a jump pack and a free frost sword. So coming in at 85 points with weapon skill 6 and like 4 attacks, like pretty cool. And still has a jump pack. And I gave him melta bombs. You know what I mean? Just in case he wants to go into a night, or, you know, him and his unit need to go jump into a you know, some sort of transport or something like that. That is Skeleton Stoll, and he is my storied hero for this, or my named hero that I made. I took a troop slot. I took 10 pack of Grey Slayers. This one, two power fists, 2 power axes, and a power fist on my main Huskarl. Gave them Master Sergeant, so the Huskarl is striking. And the prime slot, of course, was on my Opte in the hero slot to get the Thane rule. But yeah, Grey Slayer pack with two power axes, 2 power fists, and a power fist on the Huskarl. I took a 10 pack of tacticals. A tactical squad with a combi bolter on the sergeant. Didn't realize that the sergeant can take a combi weapon, and that includes combi bolter. Pretty cool, just extra bolter shots in there. It was 105 points. I just had 105 points, and like, why not more line? You know, to score objectives. That's the whole point of the game. I took 2 rhinos. I'm gonna rhino rush with my Gray Slayer packs, and the very first auxiliary slot I took was the special detachment. I'll go right into that one. I took the special, where is it? The Bloodied Claw detachment. I took a Gray Slayer pack. This one I've loaded up with 4 power axes and lightning claws on my Huskarl, who also took Master Sergeant because he's got that prime slot. And then I took a 10 pack of Tartaros Terminators. I love them. They're fast. They don't need a transport, in my opinion. You know, you can still, as of, you know, the day 1 FAQ, you can still equip them with power fists and chain fists. So I took 2 chain fists, I think 4 power fists, and the rest with power swords. Just a nice fast Vanguard unit in there. Next up was I usually lead with the Apex detachment, but I didn't want to forget about where my other Rhino was going there, which was the other Gray Slayer pack. The Apex detachment, I took a elite slot one. Needed, well, 2 things. I wanted to take the Vargir Wolf Guard Terminators, such a cool unit. Super iconic. They look amazing. And I also took a 10-man veteran assault squad. So my jetpack Opte's got a little he's got, once again, another Vanguard unit. I kitted them out. It was like a 10-pack, so you could use the full model kit. Great Frost Blade on the Sergeant. 3 chain swords just to soak up hits on the way in, and then 4 lightning claw pairs, 2 thunder hammers. Just a unit that can pretty much take on any threat. I took another auxiliary detachment. I went with the armored fist, just get my Spartan for the Vargir Terminators, and they are going with the Saturnine Terminator Praetor. He's not going with Saturnines. He's going with the Wolf Guard, and that unit I think can take on just about the world. You know, a lot of frost axes in there. So if you're going into like things like dreadnoughts or vehicles, you're definitely leaning hard onto the Saturnine guy. But that hammer can just, I think, pop just about anything in the game that it wants to. So very powerful unit, very, very powerful unit. Very tough Vanguard 4. Finally, I took a support. As always, I lack a long-range anti-tank, so I took 2 packs of the laser destroyers. That and the Spartan is a lot of laser destroyer action hitting the field, so that should be able to knock out, you know, hopefully pop a Spartan before it can unload its guys, so my Spartan can get there first, you know. That's the whole name of the game. But yeah, that's the unit, hitting just about the timestamp on this one. I'm going to post forgot to do it last week. I'll post the list as soon as I'm done here and get it up and going. Also, sorry, day late on the session. My first file is corrupted and had to re-record today. That means you got my, little extra on the show. It rehearsed 3 times instead of just 2. So take it easy, everyone out there. Hopefully you got some hobbying done or got some ideas for a list. If you've got a Space Wolves list out there, I'd love to see it. If you've got, see anything I've missed, or you've got really fun little combos in the Space Wolves that you've learned, please put them in the comments. I'd love it. Take care, everyone. Happy hobbying. Good night.